last lesson, you will have improved your ability to quickly be able to locate the first position in different keys. Now once you can do that, it's a great idea to learn a few licks that specifically help you link that position to the ones on either side of it. Now at this point, it's a good idea to sort of take in the fact that the positional system of learning scale patterns is effectively circular. Show you what I mean. So for example, if I look at the key of C, there's our sort of first position reference note on the 6th string. And we know that from the previous lesson, we know we can find the 4th position by finding that same note on the 5th string. And from our blues scale drills, we know that after the 4th position comes the 5th position. So we can see that the 5th position ends up on this C note again, just with the little finger on it rather than the first finger on it. So that's what I mean by full circle, really. You go position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, round and round. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take the link between the 1st position and the 5th position, now that we can see that these are adjacent positions. And we're going to work this out in the key of A, 1st position here, backing onto the 5th position there. And although we're going to work this out in the key of E, it's important to think in terms of which position you're in, because then you'll be able to take these licks into any key. So let's look at these licks a step at a time. If you find it helps, please print out a copy of the tab for these licks, which you'll find in the printout section of the toolbox to the right of the screen. So the first lick links the 1st position with the top end of the 5th position. So we're kind of working this part of this position and that part of the 5th position. So in the 5th position, lining up my first finger with the 5th fret, I start on the 7th fret with my 3rd finger, give this a bend. It's quite a strong bend, a full tone bend, so I'm putting 2 fingers on that. Then going straight to the same note on the B string, that's the E at the 5th fret, and then across to the top string at the 5th fret. So that's our first sort of part of it, really. Then down to the 5th position, but I'm using this fingering rather than the fingering we drill for the 5th position, because I'm not going to be going this far down into it, so I don't really need to be on my weaker fingers. So that's take the 1st finger down to the 3rd fret top string, play that note on the 2nd string, the B string, with the 3rd finger, then play the note at the 3rd fret on the B string, but hammer on the note at the 4th fret with your 2nd finger like this. It's a hammer on pull off, all in one go. So that's then come back to the note on the 3rd finger at the 5th fret on the G string, and then slide up to fret 7, taking us back into the 1st position, back to the 1st finger on the G string, and then down to the A note at fret 7 on the D string with a little bit of vibrato. In slow motion. And you can play that as fast as you like. And with any any different rhythms as well. All sorts of things you can do with that. The second lick links from the first position to the bottom end of the fifth position, like this. Here's the detail. Starting at fret 5, so we're in the first position with our first finger at fret 5 on the D string. Play a hammer on from 5 to 7, then back to 5, down to 7 on the A string with a slide down to 5, which is taking it down into the fifth position, and pull off to 3. So that's one motion. So far we've got and then you link down to fret 5 on the bottom string with your third finger, back to fret 3 on the fifth string with your first finger, back to fret 5 at the on the fifth fret on the fifth string with your third finger. So altogether that's a sort of lick in itself, a phrase in itself, but then we can kind of come back from the bottom end of the fifth position with a hammer on from 3 to 5, then climbing up the fifth position, sliding from 5 to 7 so we come back into the first position, up to fret 5 on the first finger on the D string, back to fret 7 on the A string, hit that again as we slide down to 5, back into the fifth position. So all together, in slow motion, that's and again you can play that with a number of different speeds or rhythms. Okay, now I'm just going to have a quick demonstration how I might use these ideas against a 12-bar backing track in A. Access that same backing track from the backing tracks section of the toolbox anytime you'd like to try those out against that. That's great fun. Now let's look at how we link from the first position up to the second position. Here's the whole lick. And here it is one step at a time. So starting in the first position, we've got our third finger as a sort of launch point this time on the D string at the 7th fret. So we're playing that note followed by the 5th fret on the G string, 7th fret on the G string, then a slide from 7 to 9, then I get my first finger across to fret 8 on the B string, hammer on to fret 10 on the B string, So that's then fret 8 on the top string with a little bend, our first finger, back to fret 10 on the B string with our third finger. So there we are up in the second position. Then I'll do a little slide into this note here on a first finger, fret 8 at the B string. Little visit to the 10th fret on the B string, back to fret 8, so that's, then sliding back down to my second finger. It's a little bit tricky, sliding from 9 to 7 on the G string, and then pulling off to our first finger there, fret 5 on the G string. So that's like that in effect. Down to fret 7 on the D string, and then finish with a visit to fret 5 on the G, back to fret 7 on the D. So here's the whole thing in slow motion. And again, many different ways of playing it. So it's a pathway really. You can use all sorts of technique to link those notes together. And here's how we use these in context. So again, against the 12 bar in A backing track. Variation on it. And then I can mix the other ideas in as well. Linking down to the 5th. It just becomes a well-trodden path. And that forms the core of your sort of orientation in that key around the first position. Okay, so good idea to take some time out now and just sort of spend some time getting to grips with those licks and perhaps developing a few of your own along similar pathways. Just get used to linking those positions together. And then when you're ready, come back and join me now for the acid test, which is using these ideas against the 60 bar blues again. through all those different key changes. Now you really have to then pin these to the actual positions as the key changes. Once again, as we're going through this, we'll flash up the keys on the screen as they change. Okay, well I hope you enjoyed that lesson. Do spend some time integrating these ideas. Doesn't come overnight, but work with the licks I've showed you there, and more importantly use them to develop some musical ideas of your own along similar lines, linking the positions together. Now in the next lesson we'll look at some very similar ideas to link from the fourth position to the positions either side of that. Once we've completed that step, we're then in command of all 5 positions, and we can run freely around the entire fretboard in any key, using the first and fourth positions as pivotal orientation points. So I look forward to showing you that in the next lesson, and come along to that just as soon as you feel ready. Okay, see you then.